the discussion part of the podcast. We always look forward to this, and this one's, as we say, it's going to be quite an interesting one, and it's regarding the future of Arena Essex Raceway, and this is in light of the 2 back-to-basic bangers that turned up last Sunday. So really we're asking, well, it's multiple questions and what you think really on the whole matter. For example, how can they improve the track? Is it finished, or whatever you think really? Any thoughts on the track? So I don't know who wants to go first. I know Jordan's keen to get going on this.
Yeah, in my opinion, and as much as I hate to say it, Arena's done. I seriously think that this is...
Go on, straight out there, fire.
To be honest. Well, no, it is because, you know, I've never been involved with the promoting side of it or anything like that, but it just seems so lackluster this year. Like, no one really seems to care about the numbers and whatever you like. To be honest, I don't even think there was any promotion for the back to basic meeting on Sunday. Well, I certainly can't remember seeing anything anyway. And it's just the little things like that, you know. Before we came on air, we were talking about the Ringwood Van meeting that you know, that lack of promotion maybe ruined that meeting. I think meetings need promotion nowadays because otherwise you won't get drivers turning up, which means you won't get the crowd numbers, which means you won't get the money. And ultimately, that money is the thing that, you know, makes the track run. Without that money, it can't run. And yeah, well, I'm not going to say what I was going to say, but yeah, no, it's a shame for Arena because it's a great track. And actually, me, my mum and my dad were talking about it last night for about, 3 hours in the end. We were just going back and forth at each other saying, you know, about stock car racing, about this and that issue and everything, just to try and get a situation on how we can make Arena better. And after 3 hours, we didn't even come up with a clear thing on Arena needs to do this, Arena needs to do that. So, yeah, I don't know, but it doesn't look good.
It's an interesting point in the promotion because there's at least one driver, from what you can tell from Overchat, that booked in, didn't get a booking list for, well, now we know why, and then booked out again. So how many other people might have booked in if then you say this many people are doing it? I think that's the thing about the promotion. The drivers just have lost confidence in it. And confidence is like that, isn't it? It's like, it doesn't matter how well you're promoting it. If the drivers don't have the confidence it's worth turning up to, they're not going to book in, which then has a snowball effect because then other drivers aren't going to book in.
I mean, I remember the first back to basic meeting they did earlier in the year. It got about 20 cars, and you know, I think it was Matt Bull. He actually won an over banger chat and said after the meeting, you know, I spoke to a few drivers that were there attending, or a few families and all that, and they were saying that they just wanted to see what back to basics were like at Arena before they joined in. So to be honest, I think everyone was expecting at least another 20 car turnout for it. Especially because there was no like rules about it or anything like that. You know, Aruna have got a back to basic Mondeo meeting in like just over a month's time, and to be honest, after this fiasco, I don't know what sort of numbers they're going to get for that.
According to Adam Seek Brown, he said that there was 10 booked in for Sunday. So I don't know how true that is, but only 10 were booked in. So 8 no-shows, if that is correct.
Well, how easy is it to book in? Like, is there, say, a booking deposit? Or, I mean, I know it's crazy now. Like, there are big meetings coming up.
You send a text message with your race number.
All right. Well, I think it's, in a way, like you're saying, Arena's finished. I find it quite depressing and quite sad at the same time because, I mean, I'm sure we've all been to Arena at least once or twice and a big meeting was on. Like, fair enough, I wouldn't be going to every single meeting, but I've been there for 1 or 2 domestics and far more cars then, but this was going back a good few years. But I think it could just be the evolution of the sport in general because, like everything's Arena Essex years ago, you know, go to a domestic meeting, there was 90 Granadas there, it was the race as good as anywhere else, whereas now it's gone to nowhere. But just looking at the Cage page on Facebook, what most people seem to think is the Rollins meeting will be the big meeting, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Yeah, that means pretty much fully booked, isn't it, both days? Pretty much all the big names there for both days for that.
I mean, that meeting... No, go on, Ed.
I was going to say, I think a lot of that could be one, it's down to the fact Uncle Roy is more or less organising it, but two, people want to race with him. So I mean, the fact that he's pushing us, he's bringing people up here, come on the race, my meet, and that kind of thing. I think that's a big help. So maybe it could be a case of just the promotion could be taking the Field of Dreams approach. If you open the gates, they'll come. But I mean, that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. I think in between.
It's one of the tracks that has always like, as a spectator, it's one of the tracks with the best facilities. You can see all around the track at all times. So it's got a clubhouse bar where you can watch from the balcony. Like, from a spectator point of view, it's really good. It's just it's down to why the drivers don't want to go there, and I don't really have an answer for that. It's an area of the world where if anything, it might be more difficult. It's in an area of the world where it's easy to get to East Anglia and the southern tracks from there, which makes it more difficult if there are other big events going on that weekend.
I mean, I'm glad you mentioned about the facilities, James, because my mum was saying to me earlier that Arena's actually her favourite track. To be honest, my mum's only ever been to Arena, Ipswich, and Wimbledon, but just because of the facilities of the track, it's quite quiet, and I think my mum described it as quite quirky in a weird way. Last night, and yeah, she really likes it, and she'd actually, irrespective of numbers, rather go to Arena than any other meeting elsewhere. Which
Sarah prefers Arena for exactly the same reason. It feels like with the way the facilities are, it's sort of there's enough, even at a packed meeting, there's enough space around that you're not feeling cramped. It's easy to get to for most people, whether or not you're travelling there by car from the motorway or whatever. It's really difficult to put your finger on what's going wrong, and it's. I don't think it's anything to do with spectators or facilities. It's down. Why don't the drivers want to be there?
Why? See, what I don't understand is in terms of the banger scene there. The national bangers haven't been that great for a few years now. So you think the hope is back to basics, the saviour of it all, like they are most tracks at the moment. And of course, first time round, 20 cars turn up, not too bad. It's a good starting point for them. 2 turn up this time. I don't know how, like you said, maybe promoting more, that kind of thing.
But what's a bit strange is that Back to Basics, we're all reasonably big fans of Back to Basics on this podcast, as has been pointed out to us. Well, yeah, as has been pointed out to us a few times. But the PRI banger scene isn't actually. I mean, the numbers aren't as good as they were, but their domestic banger scene isn't that bad. But when I went but it's mainly propped up by the. I don't want to say more junior because they're obviously really good races in their own right, but the more junior Cream Team and Midnight Runners drivers who on the same weekend as the Bangor World Series were not going to be there.
See, in my view, my basic view is I don't see that. My main point is, my main gripe is when people say Arena Essex should just shut down and that's it, because I think we should keep as many banger tracks as open as we can, because of course as time goes on we're losing more land, which means less tracks, and let's face it, are we ever going to see a new banger track built? I don't think so. So I think we need to keep every possible track we can, and it's like the people that said but with Wimbledon, it annoyed me how people said let it just close down, it's had its day, but we need to keep them open as long as we can, really. That's my view anyway.
So the capital won't have any banger tracks if Arena goes. I know it's not technically London, but it's as good as London in a way. But if that goes, then there's no banger racing in the capital. It then gets further marginalised. It's just it's a dangerous thing to happen. I mean,
I think they can be supported. It's just a case of maybe do the promoters need to promote the meeting a little bit more in advance? Is that what needs to be done?
Or is it more that it's in the back of everyone's mind that there's no point in investing your time in going to Arena?
I mean, I've not been to Arena for 11 years now, so I can't really comment fully on the promotion. But yeah, that was a long time ago since last been there.
That's nearly as long as I've not been there. For 2003 was the last meeting I was there for, the Mark Boulder Memorial, which, to be fair, as a memorial, it's been a one-off memorial, and that's the way it should be. But I think as well, it's like when I mentioned the Shamrock preview, I said Shamrock's in May now because there's just too much going on. Is it that there's too much choice, or is it just a case of people aren't bothered? Are there enough young drivers coming through the ranks, whatever, junior productions, junior bangers, carts, whatever? And I mean, it's the whole logistics of it as well, because I mean, it's not like, say, I know Back to Basics is back to kicking the windows out and all that, but I mean, you still need to get the car to the track, you still need to repair the car. It's not like it's just going to like that film Christine, the car just won't turn itself back into at the end of the meeting you can race it again. So is it just the evolution of the sport that's contributing to this?
But they still have the same. They still have the same committed turnout for their own domestic 2-litre stock cars week in, week out.
I think that is partly the reason, but the drivers that raced at Aldershot Banger World Series on Sunday and anywhere else in the country, I don't think the drivers that didn't race at Arena would have gone there. In a heartbeat, they wouldn't have gone there because, as much as, in my opinion, Arena doesn't really have a strong driver base as it did, it's it just struggles to attract the visiting drivers, I think, and I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Well, I think it might be one of those things that when there was a fairly large amount of drivers whose closest track is Arena re-registered to Speedworth rather than Arena a few years ago, didn't they?
Yeah, and Box is a prime example.
Yeah, but Box is the biggest name out of them, isn't he? Really?
Yeah, my dad raised a great point last night about talking about the poor driver base Arena has and all that. Like even when I started going Arena 14 years ago, Arena still had a really strong driver base. It had plenty of really good teams. You had the likes of the Runners, the Condoms, Igglers, Desert Vets, old Cream team, and just now it's almost as like either them drivers have moved away or they haven't actually had any kids, because as we all know, like stock car racing is very much runs in the family. If your father done it, you'll do it. If you have kids, they'll probably end up doing it. So maybe it's just a thing as Arena's been skipped a generation.
It's like their World Final was one of the most surprising meetings of the year because despite not a lot of people booking in, it turned out to be an absolutely cracking day's racing. And that was mainly made down to the fact that it was Cream Team, Runners and the Money Team going at it. But then now that's the Back to Basics event at the weekend, and obviously you're not going to have the Runners or Cream Team there, either any of their drivers going into the Back to Basics for that, because they will have all been down at BWS watching the rest of their team, and TMT didn't turn up for the 4-man teams on the bank holiday weekend either. So it's like so you see, it's like the rays of light that are holding them up just sort of seem to be going away. And again, is it a good? I know that they want to do as many events as they can and try and keep it to every few weeks and whatever. But is it looking at a fixture list? Is it really a good idea to try and if you want to put your eggs in the Back to Basic basket and try and get as many people down as possible? Is it wise to do it on a weekend where you're going to really struggle for driving numbers, whatever happens?
I think that goes on to Ed's argument earlier about there may be been too many meetings.
Yeah,
maybe
that's an idea. Regarding drivers didn't turn up on the day, we got a comment from Ryan Bracegood, I think I got that right, so if I haven't, who says he was booked in originally, but his car got caged on the Saturday night. So that's a fair comment. We like to hear a car getting caged, don't we? And another comment on our Facebook, Adam Shearman reckons that the Roy Rawlins meeting will be one of the last good meetings at Arena, and he reckons that the Firecracker won't be that great. So that's an interesting one. Firecracker,
it might be a weird, it might be a weird sort of thing where the Firecracker turns out to be really good if it turns out to be Arena's last
that's
meeting.
what I was thinking. If it is last meeting, surely it can't be pants, can it? Surely.
Which would be really sad if it would turn out to be an amazing Firecracker, but it was the last ever one.
Yeah, and
well, it could be like, again, I don't like using the W word, Wimbledon, but for those who are at the last few Wimbledon meetings, they're really good because they publicise, this is the end. There's going to be no coming back here. So it would be unfortunate if it came to that, though.
I mean, that's a great point, because that's exactly what I was going to say. Maybe if Arena actually did come out and go, this is the last season, and even if actually we'll get one more season out of it or whatever. It's a little bit, but maybe it might help.
From a marketing point of view, it can't be good to go, maybe we'll close, maybe we won't, but we're struggling. Isn't the best way to get people through the gate?
I mean, Arena have already announced this season that for this season they're running on a lease anyway. So they don't actually own the track. I think it's Arena Essex Leisure Management who actually own it anymore. That own it now. So
Well, I think the thing is
Yeah.
as well. Like I remember, I was gonna say, I was there years ago. Like I would know a few of the older guys raced there years and years and years ago. And I mean, like for a long time, the threat has been hanging over the place. But the thing to remember as well, when that track was built first, there was no what's the big shopping centre that's right beside it? That wasn't there.
Lakeside.
Like, the Lakeside. That the track was
Lakeside,
it
yeah.
was literally in the middle of nowhere. It was a field, like a lot of tracks. Sniff, and it's all been built up around now. So obviously the value of the land has gone up. But
Yeah.
I think just unfortunately, like it's always disappointing to hear a track closing. But I mean, in a way, some people might see Arena as the home of banger racing because I mean, if you watch the old videos, you watch the camaraderie. Like remember the documentary that was shown there about the Ollie Moore and Granada meeting a few years back, like the amount of people that came out for that because they knew, right, this is going to be one last go, one last shot.
If you watched Race Videos Crash 4 DVD, I think it was, some of the crashing in cars there was epic all the way around. Proper national bangers going oppo and proper. That's what we want to see.
And
The
then
Civil War that was there as
Yeah.
well.
I mean,
The Civil War that was Arena, one of the all-time classic meetings.
And then Rob Porter's commentating in
Yeah.
the old-fashioned ramp rollover competitions. You had no ramp. What was it, Chalky Douglas, Scandinavian flick in the A60
Yeah, I've
and went
seen that
over.
on the
That's the way it should be done.
Because you're saying it's sold already, which is obviously a fact, but it's not uncommon to only have a lease on ground. I think pretty much the majority of tracks are only run on a lease from either from the council or whoever owns the land under it. And obviously the developers want to put houses on there eventually. But planning is a long way off for anything. And if you've ever been around the traffic trying to get to Arena on a Sunday when you've got everyone going to Lakeside, it's by no means a foregone conclusion that anything else is going to go there for the next 10 years. It all depends on whether or not it's worth putting banger meetings on there or whether the land just goes to waste.
I mean, to be fair, that land is worth a hell of a lot of money. And I read something on Level Chat earlier this year when Arena actually come out and said, we're going to run this year, but after that, we'll see what happens. The driver actually said, when I used to race in the 80s and 90s, we had this threat hanging over our heads even back then. So really, to tell the truth, what we're now 20, 30 years on, maybe we're bloody lucky that we've had Arena for this long. I mean, and that's a sad thing to say. I love Arena.
I
Thing
think
is, how can drivers commit to being part of anything when there's that sort of we don't know attitude? I mean, like they get, like I said, they obviously always pretty much every meeting they'll have their domestic 2-litre stock cars on. They have a very committed driver base, but then no one else is going to come into that formula now. Anyone whose car gets damaged in a domestic formula might not even bother repairing it. It's not. When everything is unknown, it just makes it really difficult for anyone to actually either come into the sport or stay invested in the sport at that location.
I think we'll have to close the debate soon because we're moving on a bit. But I've got some news regarding Arena. This coming weekend, Bank Holiday Monday, the big van meeting, including PRI bangers. They have released a booking list for this meeting. There seems to be at least 20 PRI bangers on the list, and there's 6 big van bangers currently booked in, so I'm hoping for better numbers this weekend. I don't know if any more comments on the debate before we move on. Any quick comments?
I think they're saying the comments that we've made here about supporting the track and all that, they could apply to any track, not just Arena.
Yeah, definitely. Andy, have you got a comment, or are you staying quiet on this
I
one?
think you've pretty much all covered it yourselves in the last 15 minutes. I don't really think anything else I can say. I'll sort of just pretty much let you lot get on with it. I'll just be sort of sat here like...
I'm agreeing.
You saying, Jordan, about obviously that they've been threatening for years to get on that plot of land to build houses. I can remember going back to Wimbledon and they were saying about it when I went in 1998. 19 years on, it finally closed. So I just, as you say, it's not in the ideal place to put housing near one of the busiest intersections and one of the most congested areas of M25. So I think...
It's the same way they were going to close Wheels down. They were going to close Wheels down to put a casino and Birmingham City Football Club on, which is a Villa fan I'd hate anyway. But it's just like, it never happened.
No, and it'd be the same with Coventry as well. That's closed down now, but the residents actually wanted it there. They wanted it to be open.
I mean, I think the important thing is with Arena, and this is actually one of the good things about it, is it's not just stock cars. It has over there. It has quite high profile drifting events with I think Dirty South go there quite a lot. It obviously has the speedway team notes are Tanners. King of the Ring. It has the dirt track, which I think Guy Martin might be going there later in the year from quite a high profile event. So and Arena's done like some Daredevil shows and stuff like that. So I think it is a track that does attract some other things. It is quite a multi-purpose sports venue, if you like.
Yeah, it is.
What I mean?
Also over the back of it as well as a go-karting track.
Yeah, so you've got lakeside karting.
Massive go-kart. Yeah,
their laces. They're not just going to disappear, are they, when they're making money there?
No,
Yeah.
the go-karting track's making a storming money. I mean, apparently there are always loads of bookings. Every time I booked in the other month to do one, and they were like, "Oh yeah, it's fully booked this day. We got dates on this one." And I'm like, "Well, you can't be doing that bad." And it's actually connected to Arena Essex. It's all one big place.
Yeah, it's all part of the same land. Yeah.
And maybe this is a good thing for Arena and about Arena. Like I said, what's that? 5 or 6 different sporting events and shows it has. It can't be bad, and it's a bit like I think I've mentioned it before about tracks that have the Greyhounds, stock cars, and speedway. In my opinion, are a lot safer than those who only have 1 or 2, maybe. So, maybe the other events are going to help Arena. I mean, I certainly hope so, because I don't want to see another track go. Not this soon after Wimbledon, anyway.
No,
well,
definitely not.
especially as we're probably not really ever going to see a new track open. So
No,
we
definitely.
don't want to lose.
And I think we'll close the debate there. We're gonna cross the line.